At midnight, my younger brother swung a baseball bat. It struck the back of my neck with a sickening crack. I collapsed to the floor, pain exploding through my entire body, my vision going black at the edges. When I looked up, my parents were standing there watching. I thought they'd save me. Instead, my mother laughed coldly and said, "Stop overreacting, he's just playing." You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, if you've ever been betrayed by your own family, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment with your story. This fight for justice is just beginning, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. My name is Sarah Bennett. I'm 24 years old, and I'm a first-year elementary school teacher in South Bend, Indiana. I should be excited about my career, about building my life, about the future ahead of me. Instead, I'm lying on a cold garage floor, wondering if I'll survive the night. Let me tell you how I got here. I live at home with my family to save money. My teaching salary barely covers my student loans, so moving out wasn't an option yet. I'd planned to stay for one more year, save up, then get my own place. But living at home came with a price I never imagined I'd have to pay. My family consists of my mother Diana Bennett, my father Marcus Bennett, and my younger brother Tyler Bennett. Tyler is 19 years old, a college freshman who treats life like one big joke. He skips classes, wrecks cars, blows money on stupid things, and my parents just laugh it off. He's figuring it out, Mom always says with this warm voice she reserves only for him. For me, it's different. If I forget to unload the dishwasher or stay late grading papers, my father snaps at me. "Get it together, Sarah," he says, his eyes cold and judgmental. The favoritism didn't start recently. It's been there my whole life, this invisible line dividing us. Tyler the golden child who could do no wrong. Me, the disappointment who had to work twice as hard for half the recognition. But I had one person who saw me clearly. My grandmother, Eleanor Bennett. Growing up, I'd ride my bike to her house near Notre Dame University. We'd spend hours reading mystery novels in her sunroom or tending her rose garden. She taught me about plants, about patience, about seeing through people's masks. "You've got her spirit," she'd tell me, meaning her own mother, a woman I'd never met but whose strength apparently ran through my veins. Tyler never visited Grandma Eleanor. He'd call her that old lady when her name came up, dismissing her with the casual cruelty that my parents found charming. But Grandma saw through him. She saw his shallow charm, his quick temper, his entitled attitude. 3 years ago, Grandma Eleanor died. I was devastated. She'd been my refuge, my safe place, the one person who truly understood me. Her funeral was small. I gave the eulogy through tears while Tyler played on his phone in the back row. 2 weeks later, her lawyer called me for a private meeting. That's when everything changed. Grandma Eleanor had left me $800,000. $800,000. To be received on my 25th birthday, which was coming up in just 3 months. The will was very specific. She left me this money because I'd been there for her. Because I'd visited, talked with her, gardened with her, cared about her as a person. Not because I wanted something from her, but because I loved her. Tyler got nothing. My parents got a small amount, maybe $20,000 total. But the bulk of her estate, the money she'd carefully saved and invested over decades, came to me. There was one crucial clause in the will though. If I were convicted of any violent crime, particularly assault, the entire inheritance would pass to my mother instead. Grandma had included this to ensure her heir was morally upright, a safeguard rooted in her strong values. At the time, I thought nothing of it. I'm a teacher, not a criminal. That clause would never matter. I was so naive. The lawyer advised me to keep the inheritance quiet until I actually received it. But somehow, my family found out. I don't know how. Maybe they hired their own lawyer to investigate. Maybe they bribed someone at the law firm. But within a month, they knew. And everything changed. Tyler's attitude toward me shifted overnight. He went from ignoring me to actively antagonizing me. He'd bump into me in the hallway, knock books out of my hands, make comments under his breath. My parents stopped even pretending to be fair. Every family dinner became an interrogation about my plans for the money. "Are you going to help your brother with college?" Mom would ask. "Your father and I could use some home improvements," Dad would add. Tyler would just stare at me across the table with this cold calculation in his eyes. I tried to set boundaries. I explained that the money was for my future, for paying off my loans, for eventually buying a house. Their response was always the same. "Family helps family," they'd say. "Don't be selfish." But I held firm. This was my inheritance, earned through years of being there for Grandma when they weren't. As my 25th birthday approached, the tension in the house became unbearable. My parents barely spoke to me unless it was to make demands. Tyler's harassment escalated. He'd blast music outside my bedroom door at night. He'd eat my food from the fridge and laugh when I confronted him. He'd use my car without asking and return it with an empty tank. I started looking for apartments, planning my escape. Just 3 more months, I told myself. Get the inheritance, move out, start fresh. I had no idea they were planning something far worse. The attack happened on a Tuesday night. I'd come home from a late parent-teacher conference around 11 p.m. The house was dark except for the glow of the TV in the living room where Dad sat, watching some show. "I'm home," I called out, heading upstairs to my room. I changed into pajamas, washed my face, got ready for bed. I was exhausted from a long day of teaching energetic third graders. All I wanted was sleep. That's when I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my room. Heavy footsteps. Tyler's footsteps. I didn't think much of it at first. He was probably going to the bathroom or getting a snack. Then my door burst open. Tyler stood there, silhouetted in the hallway light. He was holding something. A baseball bat. His old aluminum bat from high school, the one he'd used before quitting the team. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice steady despite the fear creeping into my chest. He didn't answer. Just raised the bat. I barely had time to move before he swung. The bat connected with the back of my neck, right at the base of my skull. The pain was instant and overwhelming. White-hot agony exploding through my head and down my spine. I collapsed forward, crashing into my dresser before hitting the floor. My vision blurred. My ears rang. I couldn't breathe properly, couldn't think, couldn't understand what was happening. Through the haze of pain, I saw Tyler standing over me. His face was blank, emotionless, like he was performing some mundane task. I tried to scream, but my voice wouldn't work. My throat had seized up from shock and pain. I managed to grab my phone from where it had fallen. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I typed out a text to my best friend Melissa. "Help," I typed. "Tyler hit me. Baseball bat. Call 911. My finger hovered over the send button. That's when my parents burst into the room. I thought they'd save me. I thought they'd see their son standing over their daughter with a weapon and do something, anything, to help. Instead, my mother laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound that cut through my pain-fogged brain. "Stop overreacting, Sarah," she said. "He's just playing around." My father smirked, actually smirked, and added, "Go back to sleep, don't be so dramatic." That's when I understood. This wasn't Tyler acting alone. This was planned. Mom reached down and snatched my phone before I could hit send. The screen glowed with my desperate unsent message. She deleted it without a word. I clawed at the floor, trying to pull myself toward the door. But my body wouldn't cooperate. The blow to my neck had done something, damaged something. My limbs fell disconnected, heavy, useless. Dad grabbed me under the arms and started dragging me. "Handle it fast," he muttered to Tyler. "No traces." Mom followed, carrying my phone. They dragged me down the stairs, my head bumping against each step. More pain, more confusion, more terror. They pulled me through the kitchen and into the attached garage. The concrete floor was ice cold against my skin. They dumped me there like garbage. "Stay quiet," Mom hissed. "This will all be over soon." The garage door closed. I heard the lock click. Then footsteps walking away. Voices fading. Silence. I lay there on that cold concrete, trying to process what had just happened. My own family had just attacked me. Not just Tyler, but all of them. Working together. Planning something. The phrase "no traces" kept echoing in my mind. What did that mean? Were they planning to kill me? Make it look like an accident? I had to get out. I had to survive this. But my body wouldn't move properly. The blow to my neck had left me weak, dizzy, barely able to think straight. I must have passed out because the next thing I knew, pale morning light was filtering through the grimy garage window. My neck throbbed with a deep, pulsing ache. I could barely turn my head. But I was alive. I slowly pushed myself up to sitting, every movement sending fresh waves of pain through my body. My phone was gone, taken by my mother. But I still had my car keys in the pocket of my pajama pants. Thank God I'd grabbed them from my dresser before the attack. Old habit from too many times Tyler had stolen my car. I managed to stand, using the wall for support. My legs shook. My vision swam. But I stayed upright. I had to get out of this house. I had to get help. I stumbled to my car and somehow got the door open. Sitting in the driver's seat felt surreal, like I was watching someone else do it. I started the engine. The garage door opener was right there on the visor. I pressed it. The door began to rise with its familiar grinding sound. That's when I heard shouting from inside the house. Dad's voice. "She's getting away." I threw the car in reverse and floored it. The car shot backward out of the garage. I barely missed hitting the mailbox as I swung onto the street. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Tyler and Dad running out of the house. But I was already gone. I drove to the only place I could think of. Mrs. Henderson's house. She was a retired teacher who lived 2 blocks away, someone I'd met at a neighborhood association meeting. She'd always been kind to me, had even given me teaching advice when I started at the elementary school. I pulled into her driveway and practically fell out of my car. My legs gave out and I collapsed on her front lawn. The door opened immediately. Mrs. Henderson took one look at me and rushed out. "Oh my God, Sarah," she gasped. "What happened?" I tried to explain, but the words came out jumbled. "Attack," I managed. "Tyler, bat, parents helped, need police." Mrs. Henderson helped me inside and sat me down on her couch. She brought me water and called 911 while I tried to stop shaking. Within 10 minutes, 2 police officers arrived. A man and a woman, both looking professional and concerned. I told them everything. The attack, the bat, my parents' reaction, being dragged to the garage, escaping. The male officer, Officer Rodriguez, took notes while his partner Officer Chen examined the bruising on my neck. "That's a serious injury," Officer Chen said. "You need medical attention." "But first, I need to tell you something else," I said. "This isn't random. There's a reason they attacked me." I explained about the inheritance. $800,000 coming to me in 3 months. The clause about violent crimes. How my family had been pressuring me about the money. Officer Rodriguez's expression shifted from concern to understanding. "So if you were convicted of assaulting your brother," he said slowly, "the money would go to your mother instead." "Exactly," I said. "They're trying to frame me. I'm sure of it. But I'm the victim here. Tyler attacked me." Officer Chen pulled out her phone. "We need to document your injuries," she said. "And we need to go to your house to investigate." "No," I said quickly. "You can't just show up there. They'll have destroyed evidence by now. They might have already set up their story." Officer Rodriguez nodded. "You're probably right," he said. "But we still need to investigate. And you need to go to the hospital." Mrs. Henderson drove me to the hospital while the officers went to my house. The ER doctor examined my neck injury and ordered x-rays and a CT scan. "Possible spinal trauma," she said grimly. "You're lucky you can still walk." While I waited for the scan results, my mind raced. What was happening at my house right now? Were my parents spinning some story about me attacking Tyler? Had they called the police themselves to report me? The doctor came back with good news. "No fractures," she said. "Severe bruising and soft tissue damage, but no permanent injury that we can see. You'll need to follow up with a neurologist." I was released with pain medication and strict instructions to rest. Mrs. Henderson took me back to her house since I refused to go home. "I'll stay in a hotel," I told her. "But I appreciate everything you've done." "Nonsense," she said firmly. "You're staying here until this is sorted out." That evening, Officer Rodriguez called me. The news wasn't good. "We went to your house," he said. "Your parents claim you attacked Tyler last night with a bat. They say he defended himself and accidentally hit you back. They have a video from their security camera." My blood ran cold. "A video?" I said. "What does it show?" "According to them, it shows you swinging a bat at Tyler in the hallway." "But here's the thing," Rodriguez continued. "The video looks edited, spliced together. Our tech guys are analyzing it now." I closed my eyes in relief. "They faked it," I said, "just like I thought they would." "There's more," Rodriguez said. "Your mother filed a police report this morning claiming you've been violent and unstable. She provided text messages supposedly from you threatening Tyler." "Messages I never sent," I said. "They're fabricating everything." "We believe you," Rodriguez said, "but we need more evidence. Is there any way you can prove your side of the story?" That's when I remembered. "My laptop," I said. "It's in my room. I have a cloud backup system that automatically saves everything. Every file on my computer is backed up to the cloud." "What kind of files?" Rodriguez asked. "My grandmother's will," I said. "Documents about the inheritance. Maybe even security footage from the house that they don't know I saved. I'd set up my own hidden camera in my room months ago after Tyler kept stealing my things." Rodriguez's voice sharpened with interest. "Can you access these files from where you are now?" "Yes," I said, opening my laptop. Mrs. Henderson had grabbed it from my car along with my purse. I logged into my cloud storage. Everything was there. The will, documents from the lawyer, and footage from my hidden camera. I pulled up the video from last night. There it was, clear as day. Tyler entering my room with the bat. The attack. Me collapsing. My parents coming in and laughing. The whole thing captured from the camera I'd hidden on my bookshelf. "I've got it," I told Rodriguez. "I've got everything." "Come back to the station," he said. "Bring the laptop. We need to see this." Mrs. Henderson drove me to the police station. I brought my laptop and we sat in an interview room while Rodriguez and Chen watched the footage. The room was silent except for the audio from the video. Tyler's footsteps. The crack of the bat. My muffled gasp of pain. Mom's cold laugh. Dad's cruel words. When it finished, Officer Chen looked furious. "This is attempted murder," she said, "and conspiracy to commit fraud. We need to arrest all three of them. But first," Rodriguez said, "we need to secure the original security footage from their house. If they've edited their version, we need to prove it." I told them about my father's home office where he kept the security system's main recorder. "I can draw you a map of the house," I offered. They obtained a search warrant that same day. By evening, a team of officers raided my family home. My parents and Tyler were arrested on the spot. The charges were serious. Attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, conspiracy to commit fraud, evidence tampering. The list went on. I watched the news coverage from Mrs. Henderson's living room. My childhood home surrounded by police cars, neighbors gathered on the sidewalk, my family being let out in handcuffs. Tyler looked scared. Mom looked defiant. Dad looked defeated. I felt nothing but a cold sense of justice. The trial took 6 months. During that time, I lived with Mrs. Henderson who refused to accept rent. "You're like the granddaughter I never had," she'd say. My school was incredibly supportive. The principal granted me paid leave to deal with the legal situation. My coworkers sent cards and flowers. My students made me a huge banner that said, "We miss you, Miss Bennett," with everyone's handprints in paint. It made me cry. Melissa, my best friend, flew in from Chicago where she'd moved for work. She stayed for 2 weeks, attending court dates with me, helping me process everything. "You're the strongest person I know," she told me one night over pizza. "I don't feel strong," I admitted. "I feel broken." "You survived," she said firmly. "That's strength." The prosecution built an ironclad case. My hidden camera footage was the star evidence, clear and unedited. They proved my parents' security footage was spliced and manipulated. The text messages were traced back to a burner phone my father had purchased. Expert witnesses testified about the severity of my neck injury and how it matched being struck from behind, not defending against an attack. My grandmother's lawyer testified about the will and the clause about violent crimes. The motive was crystal clear. My family had tried to frame me to steal my inheritance. My mother took the stand and lied through her teeth. She claimed I'd always been mentally unstable, that I'd threatened Tyler multiple times, that they were just trying to protect themselves. But the evidence demolished her testimony. Tyler broke on the stand. Under cross-examination, he admitted my father had pressured him to attack me. Said it would solve all their financial problems. He cried and apologized, but it was too late. My father never testified. His lawyer advised against it. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. I sat in the courtroom as the verdicts were read, one after another. Guilty. 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 The sentencing came a month later. Tyler got 8 years for assault with a deadly weapon, with eligibility for parole after 5. My father got 12 years for conspiracy and attempted murder. My mother got 15 years, the longest sentence, because she'd been the mastermind behind the fraud scheme. The judge was harsh in her remarks. "This was a calculated attack on a family member motivated purely by greed," she said. "The betrayal of trust is unconscionable." I wrote a victim impact statement that was read in court. I talked about the years of favoritism, the emotional abuse, the terror of that night. I talked about losing my family, not just through their crimes but through their choice to value money over love. I ended with a line that came from my grandmother's favorite saying. "True wealth isn't measured in dollars but in the integrity of your character." My family chose dollars. They'll live with that choice in prison. After the trial, I had to rebuild my life. I moved to Indianapolis, far enough from South Bend to feel like a fresh start. I got a new teaching position at a good school. I rented a small apartment near the school with hardwood floors and big windows. On my 25th birthday, the inheritance finally came through. $800,000, just as Grandma Eleanor had intended. I didn't celebrate with champagne or shopping sprees. I cried instead, missing her, wishing she could see that her faith in me had been justified. I used part of the money to pay off my student loans completely. The freedom of being debt-free felt better than any luxury purchase could have. I bought my apartment and renovated it with care, creating a space that felt safe and entirely mine. The rest of the money, I invested carefully and created something meaningful. The Eleanor Bennett Scholarship Fund. Named after my grandmother, it provided full scholarships to low-income students pursuing education degrees. Students who wanted to become teachers despite the financial challenges. Students like I'd been. At the scholarship fund launch, I stood before a small crowd of educators and students. My voice was steady as I spoke. "This fund is for students who value knowledge and integrity," I said. My grandmother taught me that true legacy isn't what you leave behind in your bank account. It's what you give forward to help others rise. The first scholarship recipient was a shy high school senior named Maria. She wanted to teach elementary school in her low-income neighborhood. The scholarship would cover her entire tuition. She hugged me with tears in her eyes and said, "You're changing my life." No, I thought. You're changing your own life. I'm just opening the door. Melissa flew in for the event. She squeezed my hand during my speech and whispered, "Eleanor would be so proud." "I know," I whispered back. "That's why I did it." Teaching became my refuge. My third graders were curious, energetic, sometimes exhausting, always wonderful. I poured my heart into lesson plans about kindness, fairness, standing up for what's right. One day, a student named Jackson raised his hand during our social studies unit. "Miss Bennett," he asked, "what do you do when your family doesn't treat you fairly?" I paused, thinking of my own experience. "You remember your worth," I said. "You find people who see your value. And you never let anyone make you feel less than you are." The class nodded seriously, and I felt my grandmother's spirit in the room. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. The betrayal I'd experienced made trust difficult. But I had good friends, meaningful work, and a sense of purpose. That felt like enough. Sometimes I wondered about my family in prison. Did they regret what they'd done? Did they understand the magnitude of their betrayal? I didn't visit them. Didn't write. Didn't accept their occasional letters begging for forgiveness. Some bridges, once burned, should stay burned. Tyler wrote the most. Long letters explaining how Dad had manipulated him, how he'd been young and stupid, how he was sorry. I read the first one, then threw the rest away unopened. Sorry doesn't fix a skull fracture. Sorry doesn't erase the terror of thinking your own family might kill you. Sorry is just a word. My mother never apologized. Her letters were full of justifications and blame. "You always thought you were better than us," one said. "You turned your back on your family for money." I laughed bitterly when I read that. The irony was stunning. I turned my back on them because they literally attacked me with a weapon. But narcissists never see their own role in their destruction. My father's single letter was brief. "We made a mistake." That was it. No apology, no explanation, no acknowledgement of the attempted murder. Just "we made a mistake," like he'd forgotten to pay a bill. I burned that letter in my kitchen sink and washed the ashes down the drain. 1 year after the trial, on the anniversary of the attack, I visited my grandmother's grave. I brought fresh roses, her favorite. I sat on the grass next to her headstone and talked to her like I used to. I told her about the scholarship fund, about my students, about building a life that honored her memory. "You were right about them," I said. "You saw what they really were. I wish I'd understood sooner. But I'm okay now. I'm more than okay." The wind rustled through the cemetery trees, and for a moment, I could have sworn I heard her voice. "You've got my spirit, girl. Use it well." I smiled through tears. "I am, Grandma. I promise." 2 years post-trial, my life had found its rhythm. I was promoted to lead teacher for my grade level. The scholarship fund had grown, supporting 5 students now. I'd started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, helping women who'd experienced family betrayal. My story gave them hope. If I could survive and rebuild, so could they. Melissa got engaged and asked me to be her maid of honor. Standing up at her wedding, surrounded by love and laughter, I realized something profound. This was my real family. The friends who showed up. The colleagues who supported me. The students who trusted me. The people who chose me. Blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. Love does. Showing up when it matters does. On that cold garage floor 3 years ago, I'd been broken. But I'd also been awakened. I'd learned that survival isn't just about living through trauma. It's about refusing to let that trauma define you. I'd learned that justice sometimes takes time, but it's worth fighting for. I'd learned that the people who should protect you can be the ones who hurt you most. And I'd learned that real strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up, again and again, until you're finally standing on solid ground. My grandmother knew I had that strength. She saw it before I did. That's why she left me the inheritance. Not just the money, but the faith that I would use it wisely. That I would honor her legacy. That I would choose integrity over greed. I'd done all of that and more. Last month, I received a letter from the parole board. Tyler was up for early release. They wanted my input. I wrote one sentence. My brother tried to kill me for money, and I believe he would do it again if given the chance. He was denied parole. Good. Let him serve every day of his sentence. Let him understand that actions have consequences. Let him learn what I learned the hard way. That some betrayals are unforgivable. My mother wrote me after hearing about Tyler's denied parole. She blamed me for keeping her son in prison. She called me vindictive and cruel. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say to a woman who still couldn't see that she'd orchestrated an attempted murder of her own daughter. Some people will never take responsibility. They'll twist reality until they're always the victim. My mother would die believing she'd been wronged. Let her. I had better things to do than waste energy on people who'd proven they didn't deserve it. On my 27th birthday, I hosted a small dinner party. Melissa, Mrs. Henderson, a few teacher friends, and 3 former scholarship recipients who'd become my mentees. We ate good food, told stories, laughed until we cried. At one point, Maria, my first scholarship recipient, stood up to make a toast. To Sarah, she said, raising her glass. Who taught us that family isn't about who you're born to? It's about who shows up for you. Everyone clinked glasses and cheered. I felt my grandmother's presence so strongly in that moment. She was there with us, I was certain. Smiling, proud, at peace. After everyone left, I sat on my balcony looking at the Indianapolis skyline. 3 years ago, I'd been attacked, betrayed, left for dead in a garage. Today, I was surrounded by love, doing meaningful work, helping others. The difference was staggering. I'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to me and transformed it into purpose. That's the real victory. Not the guilty verdicts or the prison sentences, though those mattered. The real victory was refusing to become bitter. Refusing to let their cruelty make me cruel. Refusing to believe that all families are toxic. I'd built a new family, one person at a time. People who earned their place through consistency, loyalty, love. That's the family that matters. My phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson. Thank you for including an old lady in your celebration. You've come so far, dear. Eleanor would be beaming. I texted back. Thank you for saving my life that morning. You're part of my family now. She sent back a heart emoji, and I smiled. This is what Grandma Eleanor wanted for me all along. Not just the money, but the wisdom to use it well. The strength to stand alone when necessary. The courage to build something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. I'd honored her legacy. And in doing so, I'd created my own. If you're listening to this and you're in a situation like I was, hear me clearly. You deserve better than people who hurt you. You deserve safety, respect, love. Blood relation doesn't excuse abuse. Family titles don't justify betrayal. And you are not required to forgive people who tried to destroy you. Document everything. Find your people. Fight for your truth. And never, ever let anyone convince you that protecting yourself is selfish. It's survival. Hit that subscribe button if this story resonated with you. Give it a thumbs up if you believe in choosing your own family. Share it with anyone who needs to hear that they can survive family betrayal and come out stronger. This is Sarah Bennett, signing off. Remember, true family lifts you up. Anyone else is just biology. Thanks for listening.